Hello all, welcome to NetBook and welcome back to Mulesoft tutorials. In my previous video, I have shown how exactly the Mule flow works internally. When I was explaining, I was talking about Mule event. I said it will create a Mule event as soon as the request is triggered to the event source. Right? So what is exactly the Mule event? What it is contains? And how it looks like. That is what I'm going to discuss about right now. So as soon as in this application, in a Hello World application, a request received here in HTTP listener, the Mule event will be created. What is that Mule event right now? So the Mule event is an object which will be created by the Mule runtime engine. Okay, so the Mule runtime engine is going to create an object that is called as a Mule event. It mainly contains two parts. One is Mule message. The second part is variables. Again, within Mule message, we have a two parts, attributes and payload. Guys, this is very important. If you understand this Mule event, this image, you can write a code easily in MuleSoft. So we have seen as of now only drag and drop mechanism, right? There will be little bit of coding in MuleSoft. If you want to write that code, you need to understand this concept. So it's very simple. Two parts in Mule event, message, variables. Again, message contain two parts, attributes and payload. I'm going to discuss about each and everything within the Mule events, what it contains. So the payload is actual business data which is going to hold in a payload. An example, you will be receiving a request for creating a customer. The customer details will be stored under the payload. Okay, so that is a business data over here. For example, you are going to talk about an API called order API. You are going to create an order. So when you are going to create an order, the order details like when it is creating the order name, order status, everything is stored under the payload. That is called as a business data over here. Then attributes. Attributes are associated with the connectors. It is a kind of a metadata. An example, if I take this example, it is HTTP listener. The request is coming for the connector called HTTP. The HTTP related metadata. What is metadata for HTTP? Like what is the URL, what method it is going to be, and what is the host name, what is the port number, from which browser it is triggering, or maybe which application it is triggering. All this kind of information called as a metadata. If you are going to connect with a database, or maybe you are receiving a request from the database, and the event is triggered by the database, then the database related metadata like database host name, port number, um, what kind of a database it is, those information will be stored under the attributes. Then the variables are temporary, um, I can say variables are kind of a temporary storage, I can say. It stores some information whenever you want it, some information should be stored. You can create a variable. Whenever you don't want that information, you can remove that variable to free up your memory in a Mule runtime. Right? This is very simple, right? Attributes is the metadata, payload is the business data, and variables are temporary storage in a Mule flow for the particular flow. Now, this is the image I just shown. but in real time how it is looks like, right? That is what I'm going to show right now. So the same example I'm going to take. As soon as the HTTP listener is triggered, an event is created, right? So I can see that message under over here in the console by keeping a logger component over here. I will talk about logger component in the coming session, but as of now in this session or in this video, I'm going to show like how this message event contain or mule event is contains data. That is what I'm going to show. So as I said, it has a two parts, right? Mule message, right? So you can access that message here. Under the message you can print that control space. When you see that, when you click on that, you can see attribute, message, payload, variable. Either you can separately print it that message, separately attributes, separate payloads, separate variables in a console, or you can print the message as it is. You just need to click on control space enter, so automatically it will select it. I'm just going to show as of now the message, okay? Or you can say here, okay, this is fine. Message is the hard-coded value, okay, and the complete message. And if you want to display only the payload, let me show you that payload, this is the hard-coded value which will be printed in the console, and the dynamic value of that payload is going to create shown over here. Similarly, after set payload, I'm going to keep one more log to see what happens. Initially, what payload it was there. After set payload, what payload it is there. That is what I'm going to show over here. I can say here after set payload, the payload I'm going to display. I just want to print the three messages in the console. That's why I keep logger 1, logger 2, logger 3 loggers I used. Okay, the logger component or processor is used for print a message in the console or maybe in the file also. That I will talk about it in the next video. So that is published right now. What I'm going to do, I can execute this API, hello world API, enter. You can see I got a hello world as a response. As soon as I entered, it is generated an event by this event source. Now, if I go and see, this is the logger. In the logger, I can see that first logger is the message I'm printing, right? Let me make it maximize. You can see here in the first log, I was hard-coded like message, and then the message of mule message as this one. As I said, it contained two parts, right? What is that two? Attributes and payload. You can see that over here, this is your payload, right? The payload is in a, the binary format, the bytes in the streaming bytes format it is contained here. Okay, I will be showing that what exactly the binary format here or byte format here in the next log. Then this type is any type here, media type you can see. As I said, it is a payload and attributes. Attributes is starting over here and ending over here, you can see. These all are attributes. What I said, the attributes are metadata, right? Like it is HTTP listener is listened this request, the path of the listener, okay, and the remote address of the uh, um, HTTP listener, and which browser it is used, okay, that information stores over here, and the connection is still alive, okay, what kind of a data it is encoded, okay, and what language it is used, and the host name, remote address, that is okay, um, that is the host name, sorry, here localhost 8081. So this all information stored under the attribute, that is the metadata which is stored over here. Okay. Then the second log. So as I said, it is contain, the message is contain only two parts, payload and attributes. You can see that information. The second log, what I was printing only the payload. Why I have printed that only payload is, if you see this, it is in a bytes format, right? You can't see that what exactly inside it contains. That's why I kept another log over here and see that over here, the payload is nothing. Just this is hard-coded value in the logger what I put, but actual value is nothing is there over here. Because of the see the from the browser whenever I hit it, that is a get method that you can see even in attributes, somewhere in attributes dot method you can see that is a get method. Then the next log what I kept after the set payload processor, I kept one more logger, that is after set payload. Now the previous payload will be overwritten with the new payload. You can see after set payload, there is a message now, hello world. The message is stored in a payload. That means your event is updated with a payload now. Okay. So that simple it is. Now we can imagine that that diagram what I have shown that contains payload and attributes. That simple it is. You will not have any variable, but you can create a variable. We can use a set variable. As I said, the variable is temporary memory, right? So I can say here uh, test variable as the variable name, and I can say some value I can put it over here, test message. So this is the variable name it is going to create. So if you want to see that value, I will keep one more logger over here. I say over here in the message test variable. To access a variable, you need to use vars dot the variable name. You can see vars dot whatever the variable name you have created over here, with the same name you can access it. So now you created a variable over here for temporary basis, for the only for certain usage purpose you created. Whenever you don't want, you can use remove variable over here. Maybe I'm using somewhere, maybe I can say, or I can say, let me see here. In a set payload, I will say, hello world. I can use the same variable in a set payload over here, vars dot this value. So in this variable, temporarily I stored the value as hello world that I assigned for the this payload. Now it is used over here. Then there is no point of keeping that variable. I can remove that variable as it is. So my memory will be freed. So I'm using here, sorry, I'm creating over here, using over here, and removing over here. So let's see, I will test it and show over here. So submit this request. I got a hello world as a response now, and I can see here in the log, I was printing this test variable value, right? Control F, Control V. I'm just searching that in the log. You can see hello world is printing as that variable value. So we have seen that the structure of Mule event. So you can't print directly the complete event in Mule. So using the logger, you can print either message or attributes or payload or variables. Okay, so that's it. I think it is simple. You just remember this structure, this image, you need to keep it in mind as a developer always. to write better way of code as well as better way of understanding of this Mule event. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe NetBook. Thank you. See you in the next video.